And we gotta thank God every minute of every day. Good morning, people. It's your boy One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart. And this is a Ryan's Rewind, something we've been working on for a while. Joe Ham and I have had a few ideas. And the purpose and the point of Ryan's Rewind is to go back in time and catch up with some folks that I am very fond of for various different reasons. It could be former athletes, former teammates from Detroit, former professional players from all over the league. It could be former Yellow Jackets, which is what is going on today. So to get started, let's bring my man Joe Ham.
Hey.
Good morning, Joe Ham. How you feeling, sir?
Man, I'm feeling outstanding. A little bit of jitterbugs, a little bit of nervousness. Good nervousness, no excitement, man, because of our guests we have on this morning, man. But I want to say real fast, man, I have to get this off my chest. I'll talk about it briefly with our guests. Man, I have another stud in the household, my brother. Another stud. And I realized it. I knew it. Throwing the ball in the backyard, talking football, watching football. But my daughter, she had a couple scrimmages, flag football scrimmages yesterday at Trinity High School.
Oh, I was about to say, Skylar doing it like that? You talking about your daughter? I love it.
I'm talking about my daughter, man. I'm saying free safety, dynamic, 2 interceptions, all with her hands, getting off of the hash.
Right.
Wide receiver catching it and scoring it, taking the distance, speed. She's calling trips right, trips left. Motion. Her excitement, her fun, man, I'm telling you, man, outstanding. So, I mean, I'm glitty with glee, my brother. Very, very blessed, man. Very blessed.
Speaking of excitement and fun, man, our guest today is a Yellow Jacket great. He's a Yellow Jacket legend. He is from Jacksonville, Florida. And you and I, we do In the Huddle with Joe Ham every Wednesday. However, we talk on the phone 4 or 5 times a week, and it's the most random conversations and the most random thoughts. Some calls could take an hour or so. Some calls could be, just 30 seconds, where one of us speaks and somebody doesn't even say a word. But while we have these various conversations, we often talk about Georgia Tech greats. And one day last week, and I'm not going to put you on blast because we got friends. We don't want to upset anybody. But one day last week, I texted you and I said, if you had to name your 3 favorite receivers that you played with, who would they be? And the first name you threw out was the guest we're about to have, okay? Mm-hmm. So we're very excited to introduce to Ryan's Rewind for the first time, none other than Georgia Tech's very own Mr. Dez White. What up, Dez?
What up? Joseph.
My man. What's up, Mr. White?
What's up, boy?
Man, living the dream, man. Don't pinch me. Just don't pinch me.
I hear you, man.
Man.
Dez, let me tell you something crazy, man. I didn't know your first name was Edward until doing research to talk to you today. Your name is Edward Desmond White. I mean, did you tell the folks at Georgia Tech to cut Edward out and just to call you Dez? Because on the loudspeaker, coaches, whenever we refer to you, we're referring to Dez. Tell me how Edward missed the mark when it comes to your name and everybody just calls you Dez.
No, actually, man, I'm a 3rd generation Edward. So I had a grandfather. His name was Edward Keys. I have an uncle who's also named Edward Keys. And so I was the 3rd one in the family. So we had Big Ed, we had Little Ed. We ain't have time for Ed the 3rd. You know what I'm saying? Nobody trying to say that. You know what I'm saying? Have everybody confused about who you talking to. So I had to go by my middle name, which is actually I'm named after my mother, Desiree. So I was cool with that because I didn't really want to be called Edward anyway. You know what I'm saying? You in the hood, like nobody want to be called Edward. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't want nobody to call me that ever.
Old man name.
We got you know what I'm saying? Rewind going on right now, man. Spending some time right now with Dez White. You mentioned Edward Keys, Dez. Good teammate of mine. As a matter of fact, one of the ideas to get you on the show came from Edward Keys, Ed Keys. Okay, I played with him at Georgia Tech. Another guy from Jacksonville. Where is Ed in your lineage, your family? Is he a cousin? Is he the uncle you were referring to?
Yeah.
He's your uncle.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, Edward Keys that you played with is my uncle, yeah.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
Me and Ed was chopping it up. Me and Keys were chopping it up. And he was like, hey, man, I watched you and Joe's show. It's really good, man. You know what would be really cool if you guys got Dez on. So I want to let you know that you're our first guest, and the idea to do this show came from your uncle Edward Keys, man.
Really?
Yeah, it's really cool.
How about that, man? I just saw him a couple of days ago. I was down in Jacksonville, and we were at a family reunion. I just saw him and his son. He got his youngest son is a couple years older than my daughter.
Okay.
And we were just out there in the hot sun baking with gnats and stuff, but at least we had some good food. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yeah. Looking forward to today's Ryan's Rewind, man. Spending some time with Dez White, Joe Hamilton, a few former Yellow Jackets. Go ahead, Joe. You get this party started, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Dez. First of all, shout out to you, your wife, Kanisha, and Hannah. How old is Hannah now, your daughter? 7, boy. Time flies. Time flies. How you feeling, man? The health, I tell you what, man, a few weeks back, I know you took that picture probably a time ago, but a few weeks back on Facebook, you put me to shame, my brother. You put me to shame. Not outwardly. Inside, the way you showed your picture of your abs, you showed the picture of how you looked at your muscle. I'm like, what am I doing with my life that's still like that at 48 years of age? Man, what do you do for your health, man, and keeping it going? And it must still be very, very important. When I met you back in, I think, 97 maybe, or maybe 97, that was always a big part of you, your faith, your workout regimen, being that type of a guy. How does that keep you going and motivated these days?
Well, man, probably from the time I was 12. Now, my uncle Adrian White, he's playing in New York for the Giants. He went to the University of Florida, was an All-American. He started training me in his offseason, with his homeboys that he, was playing in college and NFL with at 12 years old. So I'm out there dying. You know what I'm saying? Trying to keep up with these college kids, but I would never give up. You know what I'm saying? I'd be struggling. I'd be dying. I'd be hating life, but I couldn't give up because I didn't want to disappoint him. And so from that point on, man, I basically was raised and trained as a professional athlete. You know what I'm saying? I ain't really have no social life. It was sports year round, 2 and 3 soccer teams. At one point, I was on 3 soccer teams and 2 football teams at the same time. And, my mom, she just, she had to run behind me here and there. But, it was spaghetti. It was oatmeal. It was all my meals were, regimented and disciplined because my uncle had that experience. And, once I got done playing, man, I got into training. And at first it was like something to do. You know what I'm saying? I needed something to do because I wasn't playing football anymore. And that was like quick, easy entry. And then over the years, man, it just became a passion. And so now at this point, it's like a passion because I've learned so much about our bodies and how they work and, how easy it is to get your body in a state of like disarray and where you're unhealthy. And I saw the health problems that run in my family, strokes. We got, several generations of stroke going back. I mean, probably 10, 15 people in my family have had strokes. My mother's had 2. My grandmother had 1. And so it's like, man, we got to do something about this. Somebody's got to do something about it. My sister almost had a stroke. And so that was like the breaking point for me. Like, I was like, somebody got to do something. So I got my personal training certification and then I started my training business and it's just been off to the races from there.
Dez, talk to me about your diet. Are there meats you don't eat? How often do you splurge? Do you have cheat days? Do you not have cheat days? Or do you eat whatever you want? So talk to me about your diet and then talk to me about your workout regimen outside of your training. And we'll mention your company here shortly.
So as far as my diet is concerned, like I splurged. Like this weekend, I was at this family reunion, man. I probably ate like 10 pounds of rib tips. You know what I'm saying? Like my folks barbecue. Like, look, people like, and I post this online. Like I got a picture on Instagram, me eating like a 1 pound Reese's Pieces bar. Like it was a whole panel. And like it made me sick, but I ate the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I eat food, but I don't allow myself to eat that very often. Every morning I get up, I'm 4 eggs, maybe a couple pieces of toast, maybe some oatmeal. Every lunch I'm having smoothies for the most part. And then right now I'm mostly doing like low carb. So I'll do like a big salad with a lot of protein in it, maybe like some healthy fats from like olives, avocados, things of that nature. So I'm very regimented, but like, it's once a week or twice a week a meal where I'm just going to eat whatever. But I can afford to do that because, 95% of the time I'm sticking to my regimen, and I actually like eating that way. So
Yeah.
like eating the bad foods, man, like you just feel so guilty. And I got to that point, like in between the time that I retired and I started training, I got to that point where I just kind of eat whatever. You just feel bad, man. Your body feels bad. Like you feel like, why am I eating this? And it's just like you get to that point where you're not even hungry no more, but it tastes so good. You just stuffing the food in your mouth. I've been there. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been there. But now I've been doing it for so long, and it's become part of my life. I do intermittent fasting. So it's really about being able to control what you do with your body and getting into a rhythm as far as your eating habits. And so when it's concerned with my workout regimens, like I don't work out by myself. So I don't work out outside of training, outside of maybe an occasional run or something, but that's boring, like to me. Because I got, I train a lot of people. I do corporate wellness training as well. And so one of my corporations, I got a bunch of young guys, like mid-20s to like mid-30s, and everybody's competitive. And so already what time it is. Like, like all I need is a little something to get the competitive juices flowing, and let's go. So I work out with them because working out with your partners, man, that just brings a little bit extra. That brings the extra 5-10% out of you that you won't get by yourself. You'll be like, oh man, I'm not feeling it today. I'm just gonna rack this up and take it to the house. You can't do that when you got your boys with you. That's just not gonna happen.
For those who may not know, I'm sorry, Joe. For those who may not know, you can catch Dez's website at thebodyfirmatl.com, thebodyfirmatl.com. And he runs the Body Firm and shares fitness content with his community as well as the people that he's training. We're happy to have Dez White in the building right now with Joe Hamilton and Ryan Stewart. Go ahead, Joe.
Dez, do you consider that what you're doing now a sport? And the reason why I'm asking that is because I've met so many former athletes, former players, former teammates that say, in their particular sport, I don't even watch it anymore. I ran out of my love for that type of competition, or like a football player or a basketball player. Like, I don't get the itch to even watch it or even entertain it anymore. Do you get that itch about sports, or is that something that you can get your competitive spirit? Because I know you well about how you compete and how you want to win. Is that kind of scratching your itch now in your career where you are?
I think it's kind of ebbed over time, like the competitiveness from. But now let's say you put us on a basketball court. You already know we talking trash. If it's basketball or bowling, it don't matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? You put us out there, we're playing pool. It never matters. We're always going to be competitive at whatever we do. And so I think that part of us is never going to go away. So it just matters what environment that you put yourself in on a consistent basis that's going to bring that competitive aspect out of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't matter what we do, Joe. We talking shit. It could be spades. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. We could be bottle flipping. We don't care what it is, man.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It could be walking to the mailbox. You know what I'm saying? Taking the trash out. It don't matter, man. We're going to compete at it, and we're going to try to beat each other at it. I think it's like something, once you got it, it doesn't go away. Like, it's a permanent fixture.
You mentioned intermittent fasting, Dez, before we get into some football stuff and some Georgia Tech stuff. How often do you intermittent fast? I started it about 4 or 5 years ago. I did it for Lent, 40 days, 40 nights. And after I did it for Lent, I lost about 10 pounds. And I continue doing it. So what I do now, Dez, is I do it Monday through Friday. I don't eat until 12, and I'm done right around 8 or 8:30. I typically only get one meal, but I supplement that meal throughout the course of the day by eating fruits, vegetables, by eating cashews, pistachios, peanuts. I try to do healthy, eat healthy, and on the weekends I kind of let myself slide. But how often do you intermittent fast? And tell me about your regimen with that.
Pretty much all the time, man. I'll typically start eating breakfast around 8 to 9 o'clock, and then I'll have my dinner at like 4 to 5 o'clock. I try to stop eating as early as possible that I can sustain. Because if you cut it short, like sometimes, I cut it short a little bit too early or didn't eat enough calories. And so like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock hit, and I'm hungry in the mug. So then that day I fail. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and give me something because I ain't going to be able to sleep because I'm hungry. But for the most part, I try to do it all the time. Like when we eat out, it's just practicing good habits, man, teaching my daughter so that she understands, like, we're not going out to eat. We're not going to sit down at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Your food don't come out till 8:30, 9 o'clock. And you got all this food now that your body hasn't had a chance to really digest. It disrupts your sleep. which is very important. And so we going to eat. We're going to sit down at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Woo.
So we got our food. You know, we done eating by 6 o'clock. And so every day I'm trying to be done eating by 6 o'clock. The sun ain't going down on me still sitting at the table eating dinner. You know what I'm saying?
Goodness,
unless it's like
man.
winter time and the sun go down to like 4 o'clock. Like that's the only time it's going to be dark and I'm just not eating dinner.
You're going to force me to need a snack, man.
Former Chicago Bear, former Atlanta Falcon, as well as Minnesota Viking. We're happy to have Dez White spend some time on Stuart Media and Entertainment, Ryan's Rewind. All right, man, I mentioned you being from Bowles. You went to Bowles School in Jacksonville, Florida. Joe and I talked about it a little bit before we got you on. How did you ultimately get to Georgia Tech? Who were you considering other than Georgia Tech, and how did Georgia Tech ultimately end up being the place where you had to come and play some ball?
So, you know, it's crazy, man, how Joe, Kelly, and I ended up at Georgia Tech because we all were supposed to go somewhere else first. Like Joe was supposed to go to Nebraska. Kelly was supposed to go to Florida State. I was actually committed to Ohio State. I didn't even have Ohio State. I wasn't even on the radar going into my senior year. I was Duke, Georgia Tech, and I think Syracuse. And so I went to a summer camp, to their camp at Ohio State because I have family in Ohio. And like once they saw me, they was like, "Oh yeah, we got to have him." And so they started putting on the show as a quarterback from then David Priestley from California. I was like, "Hey, we need y'all to come here. Y'all gonna team up. Y'all gonna do whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." They started putting your name up in the locker on the big screen, on the big jumbotron out there. So you fell in love with it. But mind you, I'm from Ohio, but I moved to Florida when I was 1. And so it's summertime. So I went back for that official visit in January. And I got there, it was like 3 feet of snow. I ain't seen no snow nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in Florida. I ain't seen no snow anywhere. I'm like, it's 3 feet of snow. How you supposed to live out here? Like, how you supposed to get around? How you supposed to survive out here in the snow? And so we got in the limo. They're taking us to the campus. And we ride past this bank. I'll never forget. It said -13. I made up my mind right then. I am not going to the school. I ain't going to the school because I got to walk outside at some point, and I got to exist in these conditions. And so I made up my mind right there. I went through the motions for the whole recruiting visit, and as soon as I got home from that trip, I went to my mom. I said, "Look, bro, I can't do it. It's too far." She was like, "That's cool," because I didn't want to have to go to Ohio to see you play anyway.
Right.
I was like, "Let's call Georgia Tech, see if they still got a scholarship for me." And so I called Coach O'Leary, and I was like, "Hey, man, if you still got a spot for me, I'd like to come to Atlanta. You know, it's closer to home. It's not snowing. I do get cold around here, but it ain't -13.
No,
sir. You know what I'm saying? It ain't -13, and I do not regret that decision, even though I end up in Chicago anyway. I'm glad I put off those years, you know what I'm saying, in that cold weather up in Ohio.
You know what, Dez, you talked about a little bit earlier about you were training to be a professional early on since the age of 12. And I must give it to you that when you came on campus, we saw all that. We saw that. And your transition wasn't as difficult as other true freshmen because we realized right away, this guy's got to get on the field. He has to play. He's ready to work. He doesn't get tired. He's eager to eat the playbook up. Do you think your upbringing, do you think what you did preparing to be a college football player and eventually a professional football player had to do with your upbringing and being ready to go at all times?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Because O'Leary and Friedgen tried to kill us every day. Like they literally tried to. I felt like they were trying to kill us. Like so, like if you didn't come and you weren't mentally prepared, mentally tough. At my school, you know, the late Corky Rogers, he's like the winningest coach in Florida history in terms of state championships. He was hard on us, so I was prepared for what we had to go through. Which, I mean, like there's nothing harder than spring practice as Z receiver for Ralph Friedgen. There is not a harder thing on this planet.
Preach.
Yeah, and so I thought it was me. So then when I saw Kelly had to go through it the next year, I was like, no, it's not me. He just trying to kill who over there at that Z receiver. So I think the mental toughness of being out there, and even though I couldn't keep up, keeping on trying anyways, you know, even working through where you feel like you can't do anymore and you still keep going. I think those aspects of my upbringing just carried over. I was super competitive now. So that part was the fire in me that was like, well, I can't quit if everybody else still going. I can't be the only guy out here. Now, there was some times I was hoping like, hey, body, just pass out for like 5 minutes so I can get a breather. You know what I'm saying? There was times I wish my body would just pass out real quick, and then we could be unconscious for like 5-10 minutes, and then we'll wake up and keep going. But it was hard, man. Like, it was some of the hardest things I ever had to go through playing for Coach Regent and Coach O'Leary.
Well, one thing about it with the wide receiver group, we always say divas. A lot of people say diva. That's a diva position. Shout out to you, Dez, because I never got that from you. A lot of people don't know how unselfish you are now. You probably murmured behind my back in the wide receiver room or somebody else, Joe needs to throw me the ball. But your brother-in-law, Kelly Campbell, came on the scene after you and I had established a really, really good relationship. You're the go-to guy. I want to find out where Dez White is, whatever we're running, whatever route. Let me get the ball in the hand of a playmaker. And all of a sudden, a true freshman, Kelly Campbell, comes in, and you somewhat have to share catches, share opportunities. And you did that with, seeming ease. I don't know how it took you, but you never let that outside of the box of the realm of team. Walk me through that process about just sharing the reps, being the guy, still is the guy, but having to share some of the popularity in some of the catches.
Well, going into that 99 season, I knew going into that year that I was going to get a lot of double coverage. And so, in spring practice, was like, okay, who's going to play opposite you? Because, we still had Dave Powell. They weren't sure who was going to end up with that starting position, Kerry, Kelly. And so, going into that season, I was like, I see these guys out here, they're working hard. They're going to be stars. They're going to be studs. And so, for me, it was like, hey, if we open this thing up, then they can't double cover me. So it was exciting for me. Because, first 2 games, I'm on the short side of the field. I got a corner, a safety right behind him. And so I'm frustrated. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm frustrated. I'm upset, but ain't nothing anybody else could do if they double cover me. What am I supposed to say? Like, you're supposed to get the ball to the wide side of the field. So then Kerry and Kelly start balling out. So now they have to be more honest with the coverages. You know what I'm saying? What did upset me, though, was, we had all the running backs get hurt that year in the Florida State game. Joe Burns got hurt. Phillip Rogers got hurt. So now I'm in the backfield playing running back. I did not want to be in the backfield playing running back, like lead blocking on the Mike linebacker. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So you're going to have to throw me like at least 3 passes for every time I got to line up in the backfield. Mm-hmm. So I'm putting on this weight because I got to run through here and block these linebackers. That part I did not like. But I'm not the type of guy that's going to complain as long as, hey, don't just leave me over here in double coverage and let me marinate for the whole game out here running, working my behind off to get open, and I don't get no balls whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? So as long as I got to eat too, because I don't need many. I'm 4 for 120. I'm 6 for 200. You know what I'm saying? I don't need much. Just give me a little something. I'll do the rest, and we can go from there. But don't just leave me over here and don't throw me the ball, because I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be 38 hot, especially if we're not winning. You know what I'm saying? If we're not winning and I don't get the ball, I'm mad. But no, Joe, I ain't never grumbled. It was one time I was mad. We was at Duke, and we almost lost that game that year. Mm-hmm. We was at Duke, and we was losing, and we had one-on-one coverage, and I was like, yeah, you gonna throw it to me. And you threw it to Kelly, and it was like every time you was throwing it to Kelly, I was 38 hot that time. That was that one time because we almost lost that game. I was like, he's gonna throw me this ball, and he threw it to Kelly. I was mad. That was the only time, though. That was the only time that I can remember ever being like grumbling about. I was jumping up and down and everything. Boy, I was hot.
That's funny.
Dez, you mentioned, and I'm very happy to have Dez White in the spending some time right now in Store Media Entertainment. This is Ryan's Rewind. Looking forward to continuing to do these things like this. You mentioned a couple of great coaches, and I'm not envious of a lot of things. However, when I was at Tech, I had 4 different DB coaches. Mm-hmm. I had 3 different head coaches. I had 3 different defensive coordinators. So coaches were shuffling in and out quite often while I was there. You mentioned Ralph Friesian and George O'Leary. Talk about the consistency and the coaching that y'all got with those guys, because you guys had them for a while. Did you ever run up against better coaching when you left Georgia Tech than you got from Ralph Friesian or George O'Leary, Dez?
No, man, because it was like trial by fire. And O'Leary used to say all the time, a hungry dog fights harder. And like that's what we were, because they beat us up. So like we played above our our collective talent level. You know what I'm saying? Like going to Florida State, putting up 500 yards on the number one defense in the country. You know what I'm saying? Like now, granted, I think it was a sheer miracle that Joe, Kelly, and I end up on the same team, given that we were supposed to be at these other programs. And when O'Leary started at Tech, they was coming off like a 1-11 season, 1-10 or something like that. And then so he slowly had to build that program up. And somehow, by a weird twist of fate, we all ended up there. Joe was supposed to be in Nebraska playing for Nebraska, who just recently won a national championship. I was supposed to be at Ohio State. But the coaching is what galvanized everything, because what Ralph Friedgen said, like you could count on the coverage that he said was going to happen. That was what it was going to be. And we drilled that over and over and over. And so he put linebackers out there to press coverage us. He put two people over there press coverage, and we still had to get open. Like he drilled that into us so hard that in the game it was easy. Like we knew if we got to the last 2 minutes of the game, we had a chance to win. There's no chance we was going to lose the game. There was absolutely no chance, because we worked harder than everybody out there. Plus we also had the talent to match up and the scheme to match up. You know what I'm saying? Like we might not have had like the biggest offensive line. So we had to, Joe had to be elusive. Joe had to buy some time, and Joe created that time because people were scared to just rush in there real quick, because Joe was going to eat them up with their legs. So the variety of offensive style, the variety of offensive plays that we could run at people meant they couldn't really key on anything, because Joe was so versatile. Like they really couldn't key on anything. Now you got me in the backfield. I'm coming out the backfield against Florida State, go 80 yards. Like people don't know what to expect, because we just got so much talent. Kelly going deep. Like you can't cover all of the different things that we could throw at you. And so having Ralph Friedgen to really scheme those things up for us, and have like George O'Leary like really just beat it into us. Like we played we punched well above our talent level collectively as a team.
Yeah, you know what, Dez, and I also think with that, our preparation was so key. It helped us be accountable. So you couldn't come back to me and say, I didn't know that. Or the offensive line couldn't come back and say, I thought I should go this way, because from Wednesday to Friday, we honed in on it. And if any mistakes were being made, we made them as an offensive unit, and we corrected them as an offensive unit. So excuses that weren't happening in real time, there weren't excuses. You couldn't get by with it, because we'll get in the locker room and be like, hey, man, we went over that 2 days ago. I was in there when he went over it. There is no excuse about that. Right. So, Dez, I want to ask you now, it's been some tough times since we all left Tech. And have you ever caught yourself, and I must admit, and Stu, I don't think I've ever brought this to your attention ever. Have you ever caught yourself in the time we left to now kind of rooting for a change at Georgia Tech, kind of rooting, not for us to lose, but rooting for us to be like, something's got to happen? And with that, on the flip side of that, where do you think the state of our program, the Institute is as we speak?
Oh, man, there's times where it's hard to watch, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was hard to look at, in the last few years of the option offense. It was great in that transition from Gailey to Paul Johnson, when you had, recruits like Demaryius Thomas, like they're going to Orange Bowl because they can run the option and then just throw it deep, over and over again. But those last few years of the option, when we weren't getting the recruits, it was tough to watch, man, because you just, 1 yard run up the middle, 1 yard run up the middle, 2 yard run up the middle, punt. And it was like that for game after game after game. And then Jeff Collins comes, you're like, oh, man, we got a bunch of former players up there. Everybody gets excited. That doesn't pan out like maybe we expected it to. But, man, I'm telling you, when Brent Key came, I was like, you could take that to the bank. These boys going to play. You know what I'm saying? Like when Brent Key showed up, when they signed Brent Key to be the head coach, I was like, they couldn't have made a better decision, because he got the chops. You know what I'm saying? Like he's been in O'Leary's program, coached under Friedgen. He's been with Nick Saban, and he has everything that it takes. And his heart is in the game. You know what I'm saying? So once I saw that, I was like, Tech is back. Tech is back. and you can see the trending upwards. For a while, it was like trending at the bottom, up and down, slightly up, slightly down, but still at the bottom. Now it's definitely trending up. And you saw how much heart those boys played against Georgia last year. Like they let Kirby take advantage of that loophole in the overtime, call a timeout, send your formation out there, call a timeout every overtime, bro. Like that's gotta be cheating. So like they gotta do something about that. That rule should be changed immediately because it messes up the game just for him to kind of try to eke out a win. But man, to be honest with you, I'm excited about what Brent Key has. I know it's so similar, even though the dynamics have changed. Like he can't coach them like Friesen and Ralph coached us.
It's a different day.
Like you can't do that because they on the next thing smoking to the NIL transfer portal. You know what I'm saying? Like they out of there. But he has that that authenticity that makes players want to go out there and play for him. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter like talent wise because talent people switching so much now. It's really kind of fair game. You know what I'm saying? Like you can get players from anywhere, players can leave to go anywhere. So really it's kind of level the playing field a little bit between, the big powers that's in the national championship discussion every year and somewhere like Georgia Tech, who's kind of in and out of that top echelon.
Wide receiver Dez White, former Jack and former Bear, in the place to be right here with me and Joe Ham. It's Ryan's Rewind. I'm going to get to the NIL in a second. I'm very glad you brought that up. My first question before the NIL is, how often do you catch a game during the course of a season down at Georgia Tech, Dez?
Man, probably once or twice a season, man. To be honest with you, I prefer to watch it on TV, man. Go to Tech and park way across campus and walk across this. Man, I'd rather watch it on TV. You get more commentary. You got air conditioning. You got snacks. You ain't got to stand in no lines. Right. Like in Georgia, the Tech. You sit on the wrong side of the stadium, man. You got to go pee in a trough. You know what I'm saying? Still got a trough over there for everybody to pee in. Like I don't want to pee in no trough. Like give me some. So where's the doggone urinals at, man? What's up? It's 2025. When are we gonna update that side of the stadium? All these engineers over here, man. I walked in there, I got mad the last time I went down there. Like where's the doggone urinals up in here? I shouldn't be peeing in a trough. That's not cool. So to be honest with you, man. I prefer to watch them at home. If it's a special event, though, where I know I'm going to see the guys, then I'm down there. You know what I'm saying? Like we had the ACC reunion, championship reunion this past season. And then to support Brent, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to make more games just because he's down there. And the program, you can see the trajectory that the program is on now. So it's exciting to go watch.
Right.
When you know what to expect from your team. For a while, you ain't know what to expect. We might beat Clemson and then lose to Georgia Southern or something.
That's right.
Southern Illinois to get blown out. Like, well, okay, what am I expecting from this team that I'm going to watch? I ain't trying to do all that to sit up there and be frustrated for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to 2.5, 3 hours to sit up there and be grumbling the whole time. I'm definitely not doing it for that.
Yeah. It's a different day and time, as you mentioned, man, from when we played at Georgia Tech. These kids are getting paid now, man. I mean, and some of them are getting some real money, man.
Real money. Real money.
NIL. Are you pro NIL? Are you anti NIL? Give me your thoughts on the whole dynamic of the portal that now exists for these players to hop in and out of, and the fact that these guys are getting paid. Give me your thoughts on NIL and this transfer portal, Dez.
I love it, man, because when you think about the number of schools and the amount of money, like the college football as a whole is far bigger than the NFL. Because you think about the number of schools, the stadiums, you got several college stadiums that fit well over 100,000 people. NFL, I think the top stadiums are like 80,000, somewhere around like 70, 80,000. So when you think about the campuses and, all the apparel and stuff that they're selling, the TV deals, college football far outweighs that, but they've been subduing that, talking about, but these are student athletes and they don't need to get paid. Man, forget that, man. That money's flowing around in somebody's pocket. Put it in the pocket of these athletes. Let them go and earn something. You making this so much money off of these athletes. Just a scholarship is not enough. So I'm really happy that the NIL has started, but it needs more structure, man, because half the team leaving between the last game of the season and the bowl game, and you fielding a team of like your third string team out there, and the kids leaving for the NIL portal like 2 months into the season. Like, that's not cool, man. You should be able to know what to expect. So I think they need to change it up some, but by all means, get these boys what they deserve. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm all for it as well, Dez. And I go back to I put myself in a coaching realm of man, how difficult will it be to coach some of these guys that's getting paid more than my assistant coaches? How difficult it is to have these guys wake up at 5 in the morning and run stadiums and do those weightlifting responsibilities. But I'm all for them getting paid. However, I think the coaching and the structure of it should move back to your point, which you alluded to, that the first transfer portal window should open after the bowl games in January, because now because I know the 12-team playoffs, and I understand that some guys are going to say this is a meaningless game outside of the 12-team playoff. Why should I play? I get all that, but let those coaches be able to have a game plan going into it, as opposed to I thought I was going to have my number one wide receiver and he's going. You can limit that a little bit, a tad bit. I think you can limit that if you move that to January. If you move that to January, one-time transfer, because remember, Tashard Choice came to Georgia Tech, and a lot of other people in that transfer portal did it the right way. What it was supposed to be about, hardship. It was supposed to be if you went through something and you had something back home happen, I can make that happen. The NCAA will allow you to do that. But when I see athletes traveling 4 and 5 times, three and four different schools, I'm like, what are we doing here? Are we teaching competitive spirit at all? So I'm with them being paid. But I don't necessarily love freshmen getting paid. Now, you get paid what you need to be doing, but before you get paid in college as a freshman for what you did in high school. When is it time that you're going to earn what you're going to get paid from being in college is my question.
I agree with that, Joe. Like, I think that there needs to be more contractual obligation from the athletes to the school. Like, I think if somebody give you money, like, you should be obligated to stay there for 2 years. Like, depending on how much money there should be like some contract so that you can't just sign and then play or not play, fake an injury, collect your money, skip to the next school, and then try to prolong your collegiate career for as long as possible, so that you can make as much money as possible. And you're going to see the system get exploited like that. But I think if they were to do some type of contractual obligation, like the kids can't just, keep switching every year, that might correct some of that. But like you said, it's hard. If a kid comes in as a freshman and he's making $3-4 million, like right off the bat, how do you coach, that kid? If he's got a NIL deal for that much money, how do you coach that kid, especially if they can just leave?
Right.
Like, you got no recourse if the kid making this much money and you say something to him, now his feelings hurt, because young kids now you can't coach them because they're sensitive.
And it hurts
so now
me,
his feelings get hurt. He leaving. He on the next thing smoking.
No doubt about it. And it hurts my heart so bad because these coaches and these adults in the room, they're not playing the game fair. And what I mean by that, if they find even an inkling or smell even something about somebody or some player on a different team is disgruntled, they start poaching. And poaching doesn't have anywhere to do with it. You cannot contact a student athlete if they're on another team already. But there's loopholes around that. They go to the athletic director of the high school or the family friend. And then all of a sudden, how did so-and-so school know that this guy was disgruntled? And they're telling them, oh, you're not happy there? We got a little bit more money. And then it's so easy to do those things. But we have to go back to the adults. Where are you, NCAA? Where are you, coaches that are going to do the right thing? And when your time comes to talk to those student athletes, that's the time, not trying to get up one ahead.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, I think that when money gets involved, doing the right thing takes a step down in terms of priorities. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's $2 more million, you willing to do a little bit more to get that $2 million. Like, you like, man, forget that. Go get that money while you can, because the percentage of guys who are able to go play at the next level, like, this might be your 4 or 5 year window to set yourself up for life. If you can, what I'm saying, if you can maximize the system. That's the complication of it. So It's very complicated. You know, I said a long time ago, like they should take that money, give them like a certain like amount of it, and store it away until like they graduate or something to have access to the funds. You know what I'm saying? Something that would keep them in the mind of being a student. Like if you got millions of dollars, you buying a big mansion, you're a freshman in college. Like what? Like what am I supposed to do with that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What is a coach supposed to do with that? But families, you know, families see the dollar signs too. They've been seeing the dollar signs since these kids were in high school. So when they see the opportunity to cash in, like they're gonna try to get the most money too. So you talking about people who are incentivized also for their child or this guy that they coached to make as much money as possible as well. So once you introduce money, man, it's hard to keep the integrity of anything. That's why you see the complication of NFL contracts and things of that nature. Like those things are very complicated. And so if they don't have that kind of structure, they got no structure right now. Like it's literally just free,
Wild West.
willy-nilly. Yeah, like just. And I saw I didn't know that they couldn't talk because I saw a post on Facebook. I think that's what Stu saw is a post on Facebook, like where the kid from South Carolina was offered $8 million to go to another school. Like, how did that happen? Like, so I'm like, can they really just make this offer, or did somebody make a phone call kind of under the table to tell them, hey, you know, if you come here, we'll give you $8 million. Like, this is a 19-year-old kid, like, you know what I'm saying? 19, 20, whatever. And you get to make $8 million now, depending on how big of a pay raise that was going to be for him. How do you not take that promotion? Right. You know what I'm saying? You're going to turn down millions of dollars. How do you not take that?
Well, since you brought that up, Joe and I have talked about this ad nauseum. That's the Sellers kid down in South Carolina, Joe and I's home state. And he's making 3.8 per year now at South Carolina. So the offer that came to him was going to be 4 per year to go someplace else. And his dad stepped in.
Okay.
Yeah, his dad stepped in and said, nah.
Yeah, I mean, not for that, man.
That. Right.
That's too much risk, man, to go somewhere else. Yeah. You don't know if you're going to fit their system. You don't know if the coach is going to like you. All it takes is to be in a bad system, or your position coach or your coordinator doesn't really prefer how you do things, don't like your energy level, and then they put somebody else in there. They're going to give you a shot, obviously, because you're getting that money and they want to see you out there, but it could definitely impact your ability to be successful. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, because I'm assuming that anybody's making that kind of money has to be very high level collegiate prospect or NFL prospect. So he probably has aspirations beyond just playing college football. So 200K, I was thinking, like, if it's like double, I'm out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you give me double, you go from 2.8 to 8. Oh, I'm out of there, man. But
don't leave me, Dez.
Like, I got my bag. I'm at the door already. You know what I'm saying? Double up. I'm out of here.
I'll be to your apartment, Dez. What are you doing here? I promise you 6 more catches and 2 more touchdowns. And that's the thing about it, Dez. When I look back at it, is that as the quarterback, it's a little different. You know, with Lenoris, Sellers, one thing you have to think about, you're not a DB. A DB, no matter the system, you can plug me in and play man-to-man. I don't have to get close to my teammates. I don't have to rally the troops. I don't have to sit at the child table and get to know somebody for the relationship. But as a quarterback, you're already missing spring ball. All right, so that's one down. You're going to come in. Yeah, you're going to come in down, and all you have is summer practices and then fall camp. You don't know the timing of your wide receivers yet. That's a force-fed thing, and I think some of that went in his decision-making to let me stay right here where I know the system, know my players, know my offensive line, where I'm comfortable.
What were your thoughts on
Tennessee?
Yes, I was just about to ask about Nico Lamaleva just now. That's exactly where I was going. Now that you brought his name up,
man,
now that you brought his name up, you know his story. Were you for that or against that? Tell me your thoughts on Nico being in Tennessee, being the starter, and prior to spring ball in the spring game saying, you know, I'm not coming unless I get more money. And then he ultimately ends up transferring and going to UCLA. Give me your thoughts on Nico's situation and how it worked out for him.
Worst case scenario for an athlete. Like you're going somewhere, you're getting paid, and then you just show up you don't show up. You start skipping meetings, the off-season stuff, talking about I need more money. That's the worst case scenario for the NIL, to have college kids like holding out for more money. And, to see in his case, I think most of the people are I mean, he's still getting paid. You know what I'm saying? He's still getting paid. But I think most people are like, I'm glad that didn't work out for him, because think about the snowball effect. If he had been able to get his demands by doing that, and now that it's been publicized, now it's on TV that he holding out, he doing this, and now they were to concede and give him that money. Oh, next year you got 100 kids out there it's like holding out. Oh, I want more money. I want more money. So I think it was a good thing, man, that he got served a little bit of humble pie. Now he in California. Now he got to pay 50% taxes, so he can hit across the head. Like he done lost like $2 million. Like, you know what I'm saying, by being a knucklehead and not handling his business the right way. If you're gonna demand more money, show up. You know what I'm saying? Show up to it's off season, bro. Like, it's not like you tackling and stuff like that. It's off season. Go work out with your team. Go show up to meetings. Go do everything. Don't just turn into like some diva, like you just not gonna show up to nothing. This is not the NFL, bro. So now, you know, I don't know what his NFL prospects were, but you know, they're gonna hold that against him. Everybody, everywhere gonna hold that against him. Like his name is attached to that because he was the first one. He was the first one to be, you know, on TV, national TV, talking about, I want more money. I'm not going. And, you know, Tennessee was releasing, you know, snippets to people because they wanted it to be out there in the media. You know what I'm saying? Because they wanted people on their side. So I think everybody thinks that justice was served in this case. I'm glad that he still has an opportunity to play. But, bro, man, you can't be doing that, man. Like, nobody wants somebody just acting like that. And who's determining your market value? Like, you just showing up like, give me this. I think maybe because he saw what Stetson Bennett was making in Miami. You know what I'm saying? I think that might have been what his comparison was. Like he wanted equivalent amount of money or something like that. But that's not the way you handle business, man. Right. Even if you're going to ask for more money, you go and show up. You go and show them what your value is by showing up to meetings, by being a leader on the team, so they can see that you have more value to the program than to just not show up and act like a child.
Yeah, you're talking about Carson Beck. Yeah, I understand that. You know, Jazz, I would like to. We're talking about money. I want to transfer it to the NFL a little bit. Did you ever think you were going to see the day that we have a $35 million wide receiver or wide receivers that's making $35 million? It started off being quarterback, left tackle, defensive end being the highest paid, sometimes running backs. But now you're going strictly from quarterback being highly almost in the 40s to the defensive ends, and now the wide receiver position. And I hate doing this, Dez, and I hate when people ask me that, man, don't you wish you had been playing in the league now? You'd have been this, you'd have been that. And I quickly say, nah, I had my time doing my era. Everything worked out there. So I don't want to put you there if you wish you were playing now, the money you can make now. But are you excited about where it's going as far as the wide receiver money and the balance of a team as far as divvying out and being able to manage that salary cap?
Man, these boys getting paid. You know what I'm saying? Like the backup receiver is making like $2, $3, $4 million a year. Like it's crazy how much money. But I'm glad because now it gives you a relative spectrum of what the NFL is making as a whole. So I'm always going to be pro athlete, pro player. So I'm glad that the players are getting their piece of the pie so that they can set their families up for life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very happy about that. No, I didn't think I'll see the day so fast. It seemed like they blew up overnight. It seemed like it went from, 10, 12, $15 million wide receiver to 28. Like it seemed like overnight it jumped like double, like quickly. You know what I'm saying? Now you got $100 million wide receivers. And, to see the running back position, you saw Adrian Peterson sign a $100 million contract. Now they're not even sniffing that. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not even. So you see the dynamic how it's shifted because, these players are now more marketable now that they can do more commercials and stuff like that. So I didn't think I would see that day so quickly. But that just tells you that the NFL is booming. The business of the NFL is booming. And I am glad to see that because I think from several standpoints, the NFL does look out for its players. And so, for me, if they're looking out for the players, now, there's still obviously some contention, some points of contention. You know what I'm saying? Taking care of former players with CTE and stuff like that. They're being very stingy with that. They're trying to avoid all of the concussion settlements and stuff like that they knew about a long time ago. They're still trying to dodge that stuff. Like that's not even a question. So from that standpoint, there's still more that needs to be done for the former players. I'm talking about even prior to us, like, you know what I'm saying, 80s, 70s, 80s,
Right.
you know, a lot of those guys, and trying to, you know, get an insurance plan for former athletes, because you leave the league, you beat up, man. So people don't want to insure you. That stuff costs a fortune for you to keep going back and forth there's just not enough support for former athletes who put their bodies on the line week in and week out and have permanent damage to their bodies, who have, you know, permanent issues that are hard for them to just get basic medical coverage. And so that was one thing that we talked about when I went to the draft to present the picks for the Bears. We talked about with Commissioner Goodell was, hey, let the NFL buy into a insurance program that we can pay for, but that is a collective of the NFL. So let the NFL buy that we're paying for it, but the NFL as a conglomerate can get a group rate. And so that's one of the things that we hope that the NFL will take to heart to support former players.
Hey, man, it's Ryan's Rewind, our first edition, spending some time right now with former Jack and former Bear Dez White. Really enjoying this, man, having a good time. Nothing like a few former Jackets chopping it up. I'm going to jump back just a tad, and then we'll wrap things up because it's already been 52 minutes.
Wow.
It doesn't feel like it, but it's already been 52 minutes.
Man, you don't get to talk sports, man. The time just fly by. You don't even realize. We're going to be here all day. I thought it's been like 20, 30 minutes. I didn't even realize it, man. Like,
time
real
flies
tough.
when you're having fun, man. When you were at Tech, Dez, when did you start thinking NFL? When did you realize I might get a shot to play some professional ball? When did you say, you know, I may have a future to make a little bit of money in the National Football League? Did that happen before you got to Tech? Did that happen at Tech? Explain to me and talk me through that process for yourself.
Nah, man, you know, it was a tough transition for me coming from private school. Like when at my high school, we still had receivers lining up with 3-point stance. Like, like I'm not even kidding you. I'm not even kidding you. We had 3, and I was the first wide receiver with 2 feet just lined up like a normal wide receiver.
Wow.
And what's crazy is my high school coach actually went to Georgia Tech. He played football at Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And we still ran a wing tee, you know, hand in the ground, so people would just run up there and just jam your head into the dirt because you can't even see them because you're in a 3-point stance. You know what I'm saying? So I said, I'm not doing that. So, you know, learning a pro style offense coming from, I was playing mostly safety, corner, you know, kick returner. Like I only went in on offense when we had to throw the ball, which was like maybe 7 to 10 plays a game. So I didn't really know how to play receiver when I got to Tech. And going from that to a Ralph Friesen offense, you have no idea. Everything is new. You got to learn. You got to be like this. And Ralph Friesen was not taking any. You want to hear nothing you got to say. You got the playbook. You better know everything in it. So that was a tough transition for me. My freshman year, I really get to play. It was, you know, Derek and Harvey out there, and they were balling. So you know, and then my sophomore year came, and I had a breakout season that year. And then, like, going into my junior year, somebody came up to me and I was like, "Hey, you leaving early?" I saw somewhere. I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" The NFL had still not even crossed my mind. Like, it hadn't even. And so throughout the season, people would continue to say that. I'm like, I still don't know what y'all talking about. It was probably like middle to like last part of the season where I was like, you know what? Maybe there is a shot of something happening here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you know, by the end of that season, I knew Joe was leaving. We didn't know what the quarterback situation was going to play out the next year. And man, I didn't know if my body could take another year of Ralph Friesen and George O'Leary. Like I didn't know, because I could feel the wear and tear on my body. You know what I'm saying? Because another thing was they never let me come out the game, so I could be hurt. I'm trying to get to the sideline. Coach Hickson, like, no, you got to stay on the field. I'm like, my leg broke. He don't care. He want me to stay on the field. And then Kelly, I used to be so mad because Kelly and Carrie would come out the sideline. They had water dripping off their mouth, like, because they've been sick, drinking the Gatorade and the water and stuff on the sideline. I am 38 hot because I'm returning the kicks. I'm covering punts. I'm running every play. I'm playing wide receiver. I'm playing running back. I'm playing all these things. And I knew my body wasn't going to be able to take that. I knew it was costing me. You know what I'm saying? So if I had a chance, I knew I had to take it. But it was really like the end of my junior year, where I started to see, you know, like Mel Kiper draft projections and stuff. My name started to come up. I'm like, you know what? This is something. So I then started talking with my uncle and my family. And so we started, like, you know, seriously considering it at that point, having family discussions.
Talk to me about your transition from college to the NFL, Dez. How was your process of becoming a pro wide receiver in the National Football League?
Well, coming from a Frisian offense, like there wasn't much mental preparation that really went
Yes.
into.
Yeah.
So you get there, you're already familiar with a pro style offense. Like all they need to do is teach me the plays and I'm good. You know what I'm saying? The thing was with where I was in Chicago, like they had a different style of approach to certain styles of being receiver. So how they ran the routes were slightly different. There was some nuance in how they ran the routes. There was some nuance, like, you know, we had Marcus Robinson at the time. And so he was a big, tall guy. So he was more like a jump ball guy. Whereas, you know, with Frisian would not want you to stop and jump and catch a ball. He wanted you to catch it over your shoulder in stride. And if you didn't, he's mad. He's throwing a fit. So that was the biggest transition, is trying to switch from a team that wants to just throw a deep over the shoulder in stride so you can score a touchdown, to a team that's content with 20, 30-yard chunk plays of jump over the DB's head and catch the ball. So that took me a little while to adjust to. But other than that, man, it was really just getting used to the lack of speed of the game. Like the game slows down really in the NFL. Like it's slow. It feels like it's one play like every 5 minutes. Like it's so slow that, you know, for me, I was so used to the fast pace of, you know, what we did. And I was more comfortable in, like, you know, like a 2-minute offense or hurry up offense that we would do to kind of throw the defense off a little bit. I was more comfortable in those situations because it was more fast paced. So I was used to that from being at Tech. So those were the biggest adjustments for me.
Couple more questions for Dez White. Spending some time right now. Ryan's Rewind on Store Media Entertainment. Really enjoying this, Dez. Go ahead and finish things up, Joe.
Yeah, you're talking about transition. I want to ask you about, you know, Michael Penix Jr. 1 second, Dez. Well, not just 1 second. You get your, you know, thoughts on it. That left-handed quarterback. Okay, you were able to catch a few passes from Michael Vick. All your years that you were catching the ball, I presume, from a right-handed quarterback. Is that overblown? Is that overrated from a wide receiver standpoint to be able to say, you know, you're going from, you know, the spin on a righty to a spin on the lefty? Is that overreaction from wide receivers, or is it just about catching the football?
I think on the deep ball is different because the deep ball, lefties, the ball is going to come down to the left, and the righty is going to come down to the right. Like literally the ball, as it comes down, is coming down at a different angle. So it goes up maybe at the same angle, but it comes down at a different angle. So you got to get used to how the ball comes down on a deep ball, like over the top ball. I think Michael Vick it's different for him because he just has so much arm strength that did not require him to like really put his body into it. Like just his arm, flick of the arm, and he throwing the ball, you know, 40, 45 miles an hour. Matter of fact, I think we were playing Carolina on Christmas night, and they had like a speed thing, like a radar gun on the ball, and they had Jake Delhomme throwing the ball, and it was like 20-something miles an hour, and Mike was like 40-something miles an hour. Like it was crazy. Whoa. And he wasn't even like really putting his arm into the ball. You know what I'm saying? So with him, it was different. So because he had to be like pinpoint accurate because that ball was coming, like it was hot, and it's like heavy when he threw it like a brick, you know what I'm saying? So there was that adjustment just because it was him. But Penix throws a good ball, man. Like when I look at Penix throw the ball, it reminds me of you, Joe. Like your balls were always very catchable. You were always very good with anticipation and putting the ball in the right spot. So I think he's gonna be really good. He just has to stay healthy. I think he probably could put on a few pounds just to make sure he stays healthy, or he's gonna have to be very good at eluding getting tackled. But granted, these days, like they can't really tackle the quarterback anyway. Like if you fall on them, it's a foul. If you touch their helmet with your hand, it's a foul. So like it's built for him to succeed right now. You know what I'm saying? So I do like it. I think they got a lot of talent this year. The NFC South, I think it's going to be really between them and Tampa this year. So they got a lot of talent, and so I think I think the sky's the limit with them. Like going forward, they got a good base of young talent, and so they just gotta build on that. I'm not a big fan of what they did with the Kirk Cousins situation. Like what is going on here? But like y'all just, you know what I'm saying? Like that's money you could have been putting elsewhere if you knew you was gonna draft a quarterback. Like it just didn't seem like it was well thought out in terms of how the situation was approached. But you know, they did pretty well next year, so hopefully they're trending upwards this year. And you know, I definitely support Michael Penix and those guys. I think they're going to be really good.
We both played in the NFC Central. Of course, the divisions have changed now. I was in Detroit in a dome. You were in Chicago outside. Talk to me about that cold weather games out there in Chicago, Dez. How tough was it to get used to that?
Well, you know, I played under Big Jerron, and so his mindset was that, hey, you're gonna play in it, you're gonna practice in it. So we had a bubble, which we could see from the practice field. We could not go in it though. Like we were outside, we'd be out there and be like, man, I wish we could like go in there and practice. It's so cold out here. But after a while, you kind of get used to it, and it kind of becomes part of your, you know, kind of part of your thing. Like you see Arizona come one time, Arizona came up to Chicago, and it was only like 50 degrees, like 48 degrees. They came out there with ski masks and all their like hand warmers, and we're like, oh, they're done. Like you already know it's in their head. Because people have been talking about how cold Chicago is. You already know. And so there was no way they were going to win that game because it's in their head. The one time we could beat Tampa when they were like, you know, Super Bowl team was in December if they had to come to Chicago because it was in their head. So it becomes like part of, you know, what you do. But sometimes it was so cold, the field warmers could not warm the field. And it was like ice. It was like ice out there. And so we would still try to go out there and practice until he saw that we could not run a route because the field was totally frozen, and then he would let us go inside. So it's part of the Chicago experience. And so once you get used to it, I mean, it is what it is. Actually, the coldest game I played in was in Denver because it was like -10, and there was no wind. Like in Chicago, you need wind to get there. You're not getting to -10 without wind. In Denver, it's just -10, high altitude, no wind whatsoever. I was frozen. Like my whole body was totally frozen. And I was like, this is miserable. How do you, I went back to my Ohio State. How do you live? You live in this? How do you live in this? What is this? It's terrible. We won the game, but man, that was a
Last Joe, one for me, Dez. Yeah, last one.
Finish it up, Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah, last one for me, Dez. What was it like getting that call from the Chicago Bears? And by the way, you did a fantastic job. You looked
outstanding job
at the draft, man. What was it like getting that call? I'm guessing Chicago, maybe the NFL, that they wanted you to come and represent the Bears and be on that historic night of the NFL draft. What was that like, my brother?
Man, so I was in the gym one time and saw my phone ring, and the caller ID popped up and said Chicago Bears. I was like, man, these telemarketers really good these days. Like I looked at it, I was like, man, these telemarketers tripping. So I just muted it. And then so the guy sent me a email shortly after that. I was like, oh, that was for real. Like this is actually the Chicago Bears. And then he called me and we talked, and he's like, hey man, we want you to come and present the draft picks. It might be 2 in the second round of the draft. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's something I would like to do. And then I realized it took me a while to realize, like, why they sent me to Green Bay. So I'm like, they're sending me to Green Bay. so like I'm backstage. I haven't even come out yet. And the logo pops up, for each team when their draft picks coming. I can hear the boos. So like however many 50,000 people out there booing. And so I'm like, they really sent me to the wolves out here. So I knew I couldn't go out there and just announce the pick. Like I had to give them something.
You did, man.
Because y'all ain't just finna boo me and I'm just gonna stand here and take it. You know what I'm saying? So I had to say something.
That's good stuff, man.
Hey, we can't say thank you enough, Dez. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to make this happen, man. We really, really appreciate it. You did an outstanding job, man.
Yeah, man.
And from one jacket to another, man. Proud of you and how you're moving, man. I'm proud of you how you were a player. I'm proud of you being a jacket, man. And thank you for taking some time and spend some time with your boy, Dez. We appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you guys for having me.
All right, man. We'll do it again.
Big ups, Dez.
Appreciate you, Dez.
All right, Joe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The great Dez White. in the building. Ryan's Rewind.
Wow.
That's going to be fun, Joe. I really enjoyed
My
that.
goodness, man.
I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that.
Dez is a football junkie, man. He's a football junkie. He fits right into the barbershop talk, man.
He is,
fits
man.
right
He
into
is.
it, man.
Yeah.
That was good.
Gave you some props for throwing a good ball.
Yeah.
That was a great question because people often wonder about the difference of catching a ball from a lefty versus a righty.
Right.
Peerless Price, when he was in Atlanta, he dropped a few balls early, and one of the things that he said was, y'all don't understand, that ball that's coming from Vic is coming from a lefty, and it's coming with a lot of juice. It's going to take me a minute to get used to it. So that was a very insightful question that you brought to the table for Dez.
Yeah, and no doubt about it. And, looking back on it, Peerless Price, he was making excuses.
Yeah.
Because you didn't hear Dez say anything about not being able to catch it. The only difference was the deep ball coming down.
Right.
So that's why I want to kind of clarify that with somebody who caught a lefty rocket from Vic, and then from a right-handed quarterback, the ball, your job as a wide receiver is to catch the ball, brother. That's it.
Yep. As a Ryan's Rewind, man, we're not going to do that often, a couple times a month. Whenever we get a great guest on just like that, Joe and I will chop it up to kind of figure out who we can entice to come and spend some time with us again here in the near future. But we appreciate all you guys for checking us out. We didn't spend a lot of time in the chat. We do have some chat, though. Let's see. I absolutely love paying these guys, but I think it's a great point to limit the amount of transfers. I definitely like the idea of limiting it to 1 or 2. I wanted to bring up Derek Shepard's son while we were talking to Dez, but I didn't want to be, too overly aggressive with the topic. Great point, Ray Kev. Let's see. Man, Dez, Kelly Campbell used to kill it at Tech. Yeah. Your 3 receivers was Kerry Watkins, right?
Dez White,
and Kelly Campbell.
Yes, sir.
That's a lot of speed, Joe.
Oh, that's a lot of speed. And they weren't selfish, man. They weren't selfish. I'm telling you. Maybe because of how I handled my business. And the reason why I'm talking about handling my business, I let those guys know, man, practice. You come to practice. Yeah. I got to be able to depend on you. That's it.
Yeah. Listen, man, I did want to say that too. I wrote that down to mention when Dez was talking about you and your influence in that locker room and on that field. Your redshirt freshman year, my senior year, you were the scout team quarterback.
Right.
Okay. And scout team quarterbacks and scout team players, they run the offense off of a card. The coach says, okay, here's the play. You do this, you do that, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. And more times than not, the scout team, they're going 75, 85%. They're not busting their chops.
Right.
That first week we started working and you was running the scout team, you had mother freakers running out the huddle and getting in a stance like they were playing on Sunday.
Yes.
Ron Rogers, Keith Brookett,
right.
Scout team needs to chill, man. What's wrong with these guys?
Right.
They're working too hard out there. And I'll never forget it. Before getting to your cadence one time, you stood up from behind the center and was like, we over here trying to get better for us.
Right.
And if we get better over here, it's going to make y'all better over there. So I said, hut. Yep. So you changed the tempo of our practice.
Yep.
It was less thudding and less 75 to 85% to now we can't let this scout team show us up.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We got to be in a position. We got to work harder. And guess what happened? We were a top 5 defense that year in stopping the run. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget it. Jermaine Miles, Big Al, Kamal, me, Jamal, Cox,
yes,
Nick Ferguson, Nate Perryman. Incredible team, but defensively we were working as a unit because the scout team was busting our chops. So when people talk about the legend of Joe Hamilton, you wasn't a Heisman runner-up for no reason.
Right.
You were a Heisman runner-up because you worked. You enjoyed it. You loved it. You were enthusiastic about it. So to hear Dez talk about that, it gave me chills, man. Dude,
You remember Coach Anselmo?
I remember Anselmo. I do.
Anselmo came to me that redshirt freshman year, and he said, "I'm so impressed with you because never in my years of coaching college that I've had a quarterback gather their scout team up." And what we used to do, we used to have a meeting right before we got on the field, and I asked the defensive coach who was going to show us those cards, "Hey, let us get a heads up of what we're going to have to do. We don't want to go out there and give a bad look. We want to be kind of somewhat prepared to when we go out there, we can look like we wanted to play." And he said, "Shout out to you because when you guys come out on that football field, our defense knows either you play or the scout team is going to embarrass you."
Right. And you can't get embarrassed by a bunch of freshmen.
There you go. Yep.
You can't get embarrassed by guys that's not going to touch the field. How does it look when the scout team is putting up touchdowns, scoring touchdowns, and at the end of the day, the touchdown was just effort. You guys were over there working.
Yep.
So you made us lift our level of play. You made us raise our game. Shouts out to my man Sean Sims. We appreciate the $5, Sean. If you did not get 12-pack, you would have been an Eagles. Not okay. So he was saying this. He sent this message to Dez. Dez had the 12-pack, and he was saying that if Dez didn't have that 12-pack, he wouldn't have been playing for the Bears. He would have been in Eagles and not be dealing with B-Dog. Appreciate you, Sean. Appreciate you, man. Let's see anybody else. A couple of other ones. Don't forget, guys, every time there's a show on Store Media Entertainment, during the broadcast, you can support the Two Live Stews by sending stars, a digital gift that helps the Stews and their team earn a little bit of bread. We definitely appreciate it. Everybody in the chat room, man, thank y'all very much. Joe and I will be back tomorrow morning for
Yes, sir.
In the Huddle with Joe Ham. We'll do what we do on that platform, just like we do. But today, it was Ryan's Rewind, man, and I really enjoyed it, man. So an A+ to everybody in the chat room, and an A+ to you, Joe. Outstanding job today, man. Really appreciate it. And an A+ to our amazing guest, Mr. Dez White. I forgot Eddie Keys, the guy that gave me the idea to get Dez on, was his uncle. Isn't that cool, man?
Yeah. Tight-knit family.
Separation, man. Small world, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we'll chop it up a little bit later, man. Get ready for tomorrow's show. Outstanding job today, man. Really appreciate it, Joe. Good job, fam.
All right, stay easy, man. We'll get up.
For sure, man. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. If you don't know him, you need to find him and show him love, because that's all he's showing you, nothing but love. This was our first edition of Ryan's Rewind. More to come. It'll get better. We'll polish that thing up and make it do what it do. But we appreciate y'all hanging out with your boy, One Live Stew, Ryan Stewart. Looking forward to In the Huddle tomorrow with Joe Ham. And then on Thursday morning at 7 o'clock, another edition of the Two Live Stews and the Two Live Stews Experience. We appreciate y'all, man. Be blessed.